Hi. So, how do I start this? You know, a lot of people who want to make games struggle with finding a unique idea or setting? Not me. I got this totally normal island with very normal things on it and very normal history. It jumped right into my arms one evening. I was having a good long talk with a friend of mine and we were exploring some places on Google Maps. Just dragging a little mannequin onto the world and seeing where we land. Until I made the best. The most impactful mouse click of my life. I set foot on Gupo. I am obsessed with that island. Why, you may ask? Well, let me show you the first thing I saw. A 360-degree photo that looks, well, I almost pissed my pants at 4 AM in the morning. The distortion, that ominous light above, the destroyed viewing platform, and the most interesting thing, this monument. Are those bullet holes? I had to know what I just found. So, where and what is Gupo? I dropped my little guy between China and Taiwan, somewhere called the Penghu Isles, and Gupo is right here, in Taiwan. Back then I also wondered, what does the name even mean? So I asked R// Taiwan, and they delivered. U just means island. Easy enough, let's cut that part of the name. And Gupo means something like sister of your grandfather. Odd. But there's context here. You see, there's an old legend about this island, which I found on the Taiwanese tourist site. A ship with many actors on it had a terrible accident near Gupo. It sank within minutes. Everyone died. Later, when fishermen fished nearby, they heard the cries of the dead woman. Now what they did with dead unmarried women at the time is they called them Gupo. It was a way to elevate and honor them. So as a reminder of their tragic loss, they named the island Gupo and raised a monument as a memorial at its highest point. The monument I saw in that picture. And then shot it? No. That was the military. But we'll go there another time. Did that ship actually exist though? It would be years before I would know the answer. So, what did I do until then? I decided to make a game. Here's what I did until now. Make about 10 versions of the island, model the points of interest like these, go through hell to get PS1 and CRT graphics like I want them. Why the fuck do I have to render my camera on a cube in the air upside down to get a clean scaling low-res version of my camera view? Workaround isn't even close to what this is. Anyway, I also spent 2 days bashing my head against the wall to add vertex coloring to the PS1 shader I'm using. What's vertex coloring, you may ask? I can add color to the points between geometry and it'll fade to the other points, to put it very simply. I'm using this for variation in ground texture, fake lights and shadows, and to save on textures. I also made up a story on the player being on that ship from the legend and barely surviving, being washed ashore on Gupo, where the player will find signs of possible other survivors and some strange connections between the cicadas that swarm the island and the ever-present monument. One thing I absolutely adore about games like Silent Hill and my favorite Forbidden Siren is that you can interact with your environment. Even if it's just text describing what's in front of you, there's this connection that's being built between the player and the game world. Like the game begging you to explore it and find the secrets. And secrets I added. You see, since my game has no deadline for release and I'm the only one working on it, I can do whatever I want. Has that led to me taking way too long for certain unpleasant features? No, yes. But it also gave me the freedom to add intricate puzzles that I myself forgot how to solve, until I found the answers scribbled on an envelope. That's what happens when you design puzzles based on 1800s cryptography and literature and add a little sleep deprivation to the mix. There are secrets that only trigger rarely, some that you'll have to go out of your way to find and some that probably no one will ever find. I love the idea of having these optional bits of content further fleshing out the world. A lot of the time working on this game was also spent by me searching every corner of the internet for information about this island no one ever heard of. I collected everything, maps of the currents, the wind, every bit of history I could gather. I zoomed in on the signs I could see in some pictures and tried to make out the symbols. Over time there would be new pictures, and one day there would be this picture. Cricket team, SS Pokhara, 1892, put there 13th of April 2024. This little metal plate just gave me so much direction. I knew the name of the ship. I just then learned that it even existed. I got a date when the story would play and this big rabbit hole of what exactly happened to the SS Pokhara and who survived. Cause you see, once you know the name of the ship, it's easy to find out that 2 members of the Hong Kong cricket team survived. But I wanted to know who. What were their names? So I did what any sane person would do. See that nobody mentions their names and call it a day. No, not me. I found an old website that lists cricket teams and games going back to early 1800 and looked at the games that were played around the time. There's a lot of missing information in the database. I spent hours cross-referencing players and seeing if they fit the criteria until I got what I needed. 2 names. Lieutenant Francis Dobbs Markham and Dr. James Alfred Lawson, also known as One Lung Lawson. Also known as One Lung Lawson, since one of his lungs had to be removed after the incident. So sorry, I can't. Also known as One Lung Lawson, since one of his lungs had to be removed after the incident. While on the return voyage to Hong Kong after the interport cricket match, which by the way I found in the database and they lost, a typhoon hit them, flooding the machine room, which is quite bad when you're traveling with a steamship. Another wave crashed them against a rock and washed away the lifeboats. From here it will only take a few minutes until the SS Pokhara would sink completely. I'm only scratching the surface here. I have the actual telegram they sent, what they had loaded onto the ship, what both players did after the incident. There's a missing church window on Hong Kong's St. John's Cathedral that mourns the lost people of the SS Pokhara wreck, specifically mentioning the cricket team, and it got stolen or taken to a safe place during the Japanese occupation of Hong Kong and haven't been seen since. Then there's this rock formation that totally isn't alive, and some other totally normal images. So if you're interested, I'd love to talk about my game and Gupo you and show the problems I faced and how I tackled them, talk about coding, modeling, the mess of a story this is going to be, or any other questions you have for me and get a conversation going. So yeah, see y'all next time.